Hello, everyone. I am Andra from Kitchen Chat, and this is Karen Walk. And if you like what you hear here, please subscribe, like, and ring that bell. So, Karen and I were just talking. We always talk before we actually come on. And I was just discussing that mental health awareness is May, but also digestive health. So, I'm really passionate about both of them. I am a leaky gut expert, and it's connected. The brain, gut axis, it's all connected. So if you have a problem in your gut, it's most likely going to affect your brain in a way. Depression, anxiety, Alzheimer's. It's going to throw off your hormones. Your endorphins are not getting triggered. You're not going to have those happy, feel good endorphins. You're going to have other ones that are not making you feel so good. So we just want to shed a little light on this today. And because I'm going to be covering it the whole month, because I think it's something that a lot of people do not discuss. And
right,
because of that, there's a lot of stigmas around it too, like with digestive health, a lot of people have symptoms of diseases and they think they're for life, and they're really not. They're autoimmune based, and you can correct that by repairing your gut health. So, and the stigma around mental health is very disturbing to me. I was someone who suffered with depression for a really long time. And I think if people, it's my belief that if people spoke about it more, that it would become more normalized, and people would be more apt to reach out for help, because there wasn't that stigma around mental illness the way there is today. So, Karen, what is your thoughts on this?
Well, it's very interesting that you brought that up this morning, because my eating habits have been off for the past, I want to say 2 weeks. I've been eating random things and junk food, chips and cookies, just, that time of the month when it starts to come around, you grab your chocolates and your sweets and stuff like that. So I'm glad that you're talking about gut health and how it correlates with mental health. And of course, whatever we put in our body is going to affect our body, affect us mentally, physically, in every way. So I've been feeling like kind of sluggish. Like usually I wake up in the morning and I'm full of like energy. You know me, Andra, I would show up at work like, good morning, what are we going to do today? Who are we going to help? But I've been waking up just slow, like, oh man, did 12 hours go by already? Like, how did it go by so fast? Not really feeling the benefits of my rest, like not resting fully. So it triggered me to pay attention to what I was eating. So I realized that I had been eating poorly. So I started changing, I want to say a day or two ago, to start juicing again, adding beet to it, making sure I'm taking my multivitamin. And I'm starting to feel a difference now. But all I have to say is you do need to pay attention to your body and pay attention to your actions. There's times, and I'm speaking for myself, where we just do. We just go and not paying attention. Sometimes you have to stop and say, well, what was I eating? What am I eating? Why am I eating that? What time of the month is it? What am I taking in visually? What am I hearing? Monitor you positive thoughts and, what negativity might be coming your way. So I definitely need to do that, as well as making sure I'm monitoring what I'm digesting. So, yep, they correlate. It makes total sense to stop and evaluate what you're putting in your body and how it's making you feel mentally.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people, science is now saying that your gut health is connected to 85% of your body, but over the last 15, longer, even before that, I've been studying the gut health, because all of my disease processes were in the gut. They were autoimmune, So it really is connected to 100% of everything. They just haven't got there yet because they don't know enough about it. But I followed those pathways. And like you were saying, when I wasn't eating well, as nurses, we barely use the bathroom. Whose fault is that? It's ours. When you say, oh, in a minute, I'll get there. And then when you go to get in there, someone's getting in there, and then you're waiting and stuff like that. It's the same with eating. We think we're going to eat before we get to work at morning report, and then you walk into something that
two patients fell. That's it.
Yeah. Or who's dead in bed, God forbid. But I mean, all kinds of stuff. The night shift left you with, and you just you never really do that. So you can't,
Mhm.
you have to take prevention even on what you think you're preventing. So by that, what I mean is we have the best intentions. I'll eat when I get to work. And you've even carried something with you to eat at work, but you can't guarantee
Mhm.
that when you get there, that's going to happen, like we
That's
just discussed. So have
right.
something, carry those little things. I was dealing with a young lady who's diabetic, and she's looking for nutrition help. But so I sat to her and she's like, can you write something down for me? I said, no. I said, and here's why. I said, because if I tell you what I think you should be, you're not going to stick to it. I said,
Right.
because your culture and my culture are different. I said, so you were raised eating different foods, and I can't expect you to change to what I'm eating. So I said, what I want you to do is go home and write down what you're eating for the next 2 days, what your
Mhm.
problems are, what are you having difficulty staying away from, and then what your support system's like. I said, because you're still a minor. So if your family is not on board and you can't tell your family, I'm overweight, I'm diabetic, and I need your help, because if this food is here, I'm going to eat it.
Right.
So
Right.
you have to help me with this too. Can we get healthy together, mom, pop? You know what I mean?
Right.
So she just kind of looked at me and she said, "Oh boy, my mother's not going to be happy."
Mhm.
I said, but she will. I said, because it'll probably be a very adult conversation. You're taking
Mhm.
ownership for your body. And I said, until you take ownership of your body, nobody else can. I said,
Absolutely
I can't help you change what's going on in your body until you say, I want to change what's going on in my body.
true. It's
You
so
know,
true.
so I mean, I meet with clients a lot, and I'll say to them, why is this important to you? And they're like, oh, I have something coming up, a wedding or something, so I want to drop 10 pounds. So to me, I know that they're not motivated because they probably have dresses for their current size, you know? So
Right.
that's not a real big motivator. But if I say to them, why is this important to you? And they say, because, I don't want heart disease. It runs in my family. And
Right.
I want to be around for my children and my grandchildren. That's a motivator. Those
Right.
are people that I'm encouraged to help, because the other people are just wasting my time, you
Right.
know?
And it's temporary. It's a temporary fix.
Yeah,
Like
and
you.
they're not looking for lasting, and
Right.
um they're not going to put in the effort. So
Right.
I can't make somebody have success if they're not going to be part of that success. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Exactly. It has to be person centered. They have to want it for themselves. Like we talk about a lot with mental health and with addiction and fighting addiction and overcoming addiction. The person needs to want it for themselves. You can't force it on them. There's a time and a place for everything. Some of us see that time more urgently than other people. And we can't say we're better than that person or not, but everyone has their breaking point. Everyone has their stop, their hard stop. Sometimes
Yeah.
you give yourself this long rope, and unfortunately that at the end of that rope could be a diagnosis, a hypertension diagnosis or a diabetes diagnosis, when if you would have caught it a little bit earlier, paid more attention or invested in yourself. Because a lot of times I want to say too that we don't invest in ourselves. We're looking at what people think, like your friend that said she wanted to lose some weight for a wedding, or your client that said they want to lose some weight for a wedding. So you're not really doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the way people are going to see you at that wedding. It's not going to stick. You really want to do it because you want to be different yourself. You want to live longer and healthier and be able to see your kids graduating, your grandkids and your great grandkids and things like that. You need to have that self motivation. And a lot of us lack it at times. I lack it at times, especially these past couple of weeks. So I'm just eating anything I want to eat, honey. And any fast food restaurant I stop at and it piques my interest, we all go through them periods of times, but you do need to have a hard stop. And that's what I do want to make sure that I highlight is, invest in yourself, see the direction you're going in, and stop. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy, but it does need to be done.
To the whole, just like there's a really bad stigma around mental health, there's a really bad stigma around health. Like
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
people are always worried about what they're giving up, and they're not thinking about what they're really getting back.
Right.
So, but
That's great. That's
These
great.
little Hershey drops are sitting in my desk, and they're there because I eat well
They're
90% of the
little.
time. Yeah, but well, there's kisses in here too. I am that chocolate girl, but I eat well 90% of the time. So those
Mhm.
little things are not going to be a detriment to me because I do focus on eating quality foods all the time. So getting healthy doesn't mean you have to live without that cookie or that cake for the rest of your life. It just means that shouldn't be the biggest
Right,
staple in your diet. And for a long
right,
time,
right.
especially as a nurse, you're having bagels every morning. Who brought in donuts? Because, thank you for taking care of my mother. Here's a
Or
box of
pharmaceutical
donuts.
company, right?
Yeah. I started feeling like I worked for Entenmann's. So,
I know. Oh my God.
so
Got it now. That's my favorite.
I know, but so it
Oh.
just goes without saying. So I told you I was on a show last night and we were talking about getting back up and what
Get
made you
back
because
up.
getting
Wow.
back up. So because I spoke to her in a post, she said, that people come back from where they were and
Mm.
that you don't have to, stay stuck. So
Mm.
I told her absolutely. So she was talking about in her post what she went through and how that changed, how she saw the negatives as positives, that even the negatives that happen in our life have a story and a meaning that's meant to teach us. So I commented, I remember seeing a train going by and hoping I was under it because that's how bad my depression was as a child. So she said,
Mm.
"Oh God, I got to interview you for this show." so so she said, "Okay, what was that time in your life?" And I said, "There was so many, but you have to decide to get back up.
Mm.
You have to say, I want to live more than I want to succumb to what's going on around me and the people, at 56 years
Mm.
old, this is my favorite saying. I heard it somewhere else. I wish, and she was 50, the lady that said it in the post. I wish I would have told more people to fuck off in my life. And and I really, really, really sorry for
Listen,
the profanity, but it's so true because at the
listen.
end of the day, you go home with yourself. So we all
Yeah.
have those people. So whether you have depression or diabetes, now this child I was talking to you about doesn't like that she has a disease process. So I had to explain to her that everyone around you also does. Theirs just hasn't come out yet, or they haven't found it. I said, but they all have an issue.
Right, right, right.
I said, because I said, you might be able to see the signs of diabetes easier than you could see the sign of mental health and anxiety and stuff like that. I said, but everybody has an issue,
Right. Everyone has their issues, right?
you know?
Absolutely. And
And I,
it's that fear of judgment that keeps people from acknowledging what's going on with them. And like you said, everyone has something they're fighting through. We're all growing. We're all human beings, and with growth comes, challenges that you have to overcome. So everyone has something that they need to overcome, unless they're ignoring it. And if you're ignoring it, it's not going to go anywhere. It's gonna keep coming up and coming up. So it makes sense to just face it and overcome it. I think about and I talk about a lot recovery versus restoration. Like a lot of times when we fall, we need to get back up to where we were at. We're recovering from whatever has come our way. But restoration is like really going above that recovery, like better than you was before you even fell. Like you're
yeah,
restoring yourself. And with that, it does take strength. It takes support, like we keep saying. But first of all, and most important, it does take acknowledgement. It's hard to say I'm going through this, I'm going through that. It's hard to say, well, maybe I'm not the best because it's human beings, and especially being a New Yorker or anywhere, I believe people want to be the best. Just wake up and you're the best. No one wakes up and you're just the best. No one just wakes up and overcomes the challenge. It takes work. It takes work. It takes thoughts. It takes
mm,
steps. Okay, this is what I'm going to do today and tomorrow. This is my goal. These are the people that I want to surround me to help me to get there. So we're all there. Well, deep breath.
I
We're
know,
all
but
there
so
and we all
that's
can do it.
but that's like the biggest problem today. So, I'm on this leadership team and we're constantly taught where we just did something on imposter syndrome. We did
That part
comfort
too.
zone. We talked about rising from the ashes and, the alcoholism, I don't openly share that everywhere because of anonymity and it's come back to bit bite me on the face, but I'm not ashamed of what I've gone through in my life, because I did get back up. You
You
know what I
sure
mean?
did.
So
Mhm.
it's just a matter of people understanding and realizing that God doesn't make junk, So
Absolutely not.
this is where our storyline kind of went last night. That's gonna be airing on the Phoenix TV, So
Mhm.
awaken the warrior. So so
Yes, I love
listen,
it. God doesn't
uh,
make junk. I love that.
well, that's what we were talking about, because everybody has their unique abilities, right? So why does one person have depression? Why does one person get cancer? I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but diet is a part of that. But and I spoke about how I felt like God was mad at me, because I said, these things keep happening to me.
Mhm.
Do I had like a shit magnet on my forehead, like all the
Mhm.
bad things just kept coming to me. And then I had to see my part in it, and spend time with myself, and say, how and why am I attracting these people? And the depression and all those things that kept coming up, and bad marriages and all that stuff. What was my role? So I
Mhm.
had to take, you were talking about invest in yourself. I had to take time, step back, and invest in myself, and realize that people are always going to say things. People are going to tell you you're not good enough, you're not worth it. Some teacher in school might tell you you're not smart enough. But at the end of the day, what I would love to impress upon you is that you don't go home with those people. You go
Right.
home with yourself. So
Right.
look in that mirror and know that you're valued. And because God doesn't make junk. So
Right.
everybody is a unique individual. We all have special talents. Maybe you found them, maybe you haven't yet. It's
Mhm.
okay. There's plenty of time. Just get back up and
Right.
and move on to what you really want to do. So but we're going to be talking. So I'm all over Facebook. I'm Andra Net, and I have Pounds to Go and Natural Holistic and everything. But you can find me on Facebook this month across all my pages, because I really want people to know how important it is. I'm doing mental health, and it's digestive health. And how can I not do that, as a leaky gut expert? So I'm doing
Right.
them both. I'm going to have a lot of work this month. But I want them to know just how important this is, and I want it to become normalized. So the leadership team, we're talking about things like imposter syndrome, and because
Mhm.
every time you do something new in your life, that fear comes up because it's new,
It
it's a
does.
challenge. So everybody's going through it, and anybody who says they don't is a damn liar. Everybody, nobody,
That's
wakes up
right.
one morning and says, I'm confident, happy, healthy, and wise. It just doesn't help like that. And it is a daily struggle. It is,
Mhm. It is.
um, we listen to ourselves more than we listen to anybody else. So
Mhm.
how we receive what someone says does have an impact. So someone says you look good today, and you don't feel that inside where it
Right.
matters, then you're going to think what they're really saying is, sure, you look good. You know what I
Right.
mean? So you have to find that in yourself to give yourself that self-love. So there was a time in my life when
That's self-love.
I didn't have that self-love. And I literally wrote on my mirror every day, you are worthy, you have value, you deserve to be happy and loved and stuff. And every day I told myself stuff, but it's putting in the footwork and telling people, no, you can't treat me like that. You know, there are no victims, there are volunteers. Nobody has the right to make you feel bad unless you allow them to.
No victims, only volunteers. Look at you today with the quotes. I love that. I need to write
But
that
it's
down
it's
too.
true.
You
My
have to
mom
accept
always said
someone's
that.
gift. Right. Right. If you don't accept what someone's given, then you're not taking it in. Yes, anyone can say anything they want to do. Like, when we're younger, sticks and stones can break your bones, the word can hurt you. Words can hurt. I'm sorry. We got to kind of reverse that. Words can hurt, but you need to be the one to set up that barrier, that boundary to say, I'm not going to allow this to hurt me. I'm not going to believe what you are saying because I know differently. And like you were saying, sometimes you do need to put sticky notes on your computer or on your mirror and remind yourself that God loves you or God has plans to prosper you, you know, and your way that he's prospering you is different from someone else's. The time period is different. The style, the way that he does it is different, and that's totally fine. You may have went through addiction and had to come back from addiction, and that's totally fine. Other people had to come back from injuries, maybe it was an amputation or, you know, a traumatic brain injury, a stroke, a heart attack. I know people who have had multiple heart attacks and they're still out there in a casino, hanging out, going to the beach. Listen. There is so much that life can throw at us. And
I know.
you just gotta really just take hold, invest in yourself, remind yourself that you can get through it, and have a great support system like I have in Andra.
Yes, well, we both have that, but that's the biggest part of it. So when I mean there's no victims, you don't have control over what other people say to you, but you do have control when it's where it comes from, where you listen to it. Because those people, if there's someone that's making you feel bad when you're with them, 9 out of 10 times, then they're not somebody you should be with anymore. So there were a lot of people that I had to let go of in my life, and I thought I would miss them, and the truth is I really didn't. And it's because they were those people that never had anything nice to say. And people like that are not happy in their own life, so they portray it out onto you. That's what they do. That's what they do.
For other people. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so she was asking me, how did I get through the depression and stuff like that. And I said I wanted to live more than I wanted to die, and God puts people in your life and in your path, and I am a very religious person. I mean, God and I have a
relationship.
Very close relationship.
Right.
I'm not a holy roller that you know what I mean? But when I asked for help, he just kept sticking harder and still harder stuff in my life. So I didn't see it as help at the time because I was wishing to be under that train. So he felt that I needed to see how lucky I was to be alive, and he would give me that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? The cancer, the breaking my back, and all that stuff, and a nurse telling me get busy living or get busy dying. That made that made a difference. So what I want you to really, because we don't want to go on and on. Karen and I both have to get to work, act like we're working anyway. What we want you to know is that it's okay to be perfectly you, perfect the way you are, and reach out for help when you need it. Don't be afraid. It takes a stronger person to reach out for help than to sit and stay stuck in that mess, because there were so many times that I had to reach out for help. Her and I worked together a long time. We would get stuck in the weeds. Sometimes our patient loads were crazy. We'd have admissions, discharges, everything. I was like, yeah, and vice versa. We have to be able to ask for people for help. And those people that reach back, those are your support system.
Right. Absolutely.
But if you have people that are always asking for help, and when you need to talk or something, they're not there, then those are the people that we can start to eliminate in our lives, because those people aren't supporting you. They're draining you is what they're doing. And you need all that love for you. So one of the best things I've ever learned to do in my life was say no. And just take your time back, say no, I can't do this, even if you have the time. It's not about time. It's about, a lot of times people will have us do things for them that they could really do themselves, and they just don't want to be bothered. So, and our time is less valued to them than theirs. So you have to discern who those people are and start taking care of yourself. And the more you do esteemable things, the better you will feel about you,
Right.
Because on self-esteem, you have to start doing esteemable things. They just don't come, You see a lot of memes out there that you're entitled to be happy, rich, and stuff. That's a bunch of bullshit. If you don't put any work in, it is.
Work in.
You got to put the work in. Nobody you can make millions of dollars if you choose to, but you have to put in the work by taking that next step and doing
Right.
what's right for you, because you
Right.
can't step into your destiny until you step into who you are, to dig deep
Right.
and find out who you are. I mean, you could be destined for greatness. You could be the next Thomas Edison on
Right.
crack. Who knows?
Right.
So
Right. That's so true. So true. Faith without works is dead, right? So you can pray all you want and ask God, and God will, of course, absolutely want you to be your greatest. But you do need to put some work in. You do need to want it for yourself as well. And also you do need to rid yourself of people who may be holding you back, and it's okay. Self-love is not selfish. You know, a lot of times people may say, well, actually, what I need is I need. You do need to take care of yourself so you can take care of others. You know, you can't pour from an empty cup. And I'm sure everyone has heard that before, but it's absolutely true. You do need to have that energy and that peace enough for yourself that you can give to other people. Give, and you know, your family, yourself, then your family, and then go outside your house. So true, so true. And practice that wisdom and that discernment. Sometimes we feel bad and we say, oh, well, you know, they need it. I don't need it. You need it. You need to invest in yourself. You absolutely
but that's, you know, I did a post this morning about time management, about like, are you always stretching for time? Everybody has the same 24 hours
24
a
hours.
day. So there's must do's, can do's, and
Right.
don't do's. You know, there are things that you can get away with not doing. I mean, you have to pay your bills and stuff like that, but there are things that can be put off. So you have to manage your time, and the person that should take that time first is yourself. Just like when you get paid, the first person you should pay is yourself, because you deserve that. Okay. So you deserve that. So, and when you start putting yourself first, other people will put you first too, you know, because you'll be showing the value that you really have. You'll be telling people, listen, I can do better than that. I
You
deserve
teach
better.
people how to treat you. People
Yeah.
definitely need to be taught how to treat you. So yeah, totally right. So April is ending volunteer month, right? So I just want to make sure we didn't forget that. Sometimes volunteering can help you, help inspire you, help encourage you to see that you can make a difference. So if you can get out there and do anything for someone else, and you do after you have taken care of yourself, go ahead and do that. And like Andra said, Mental Health Month does start in May, and we're really going to be talking about that and pushing that as well. And mental health has become very, very close to my heart. I know in the past we didn't talk a lot about it as a community. That's my daughter's two fingers, but it does need to be spoken about. It does need to be practiced. You do need to make sure that you are loving yourself. Okay, thank you for the, what do we call that when people shows? Cameo.
It's okay. It's okay. Kids are amazing. You gotta just let them be them. You know, she just wants to be seen. Listen, everybody wants to be seen, wants to be heard, and wants to be valued. So that's prime example, you know. So we have to let her show up as her. That's what I'm talking about. So exactly, she's right on time with that. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up because we have to get to work and do some things. So Karen, anything you want to say to take us out?
I want to say stay positive, love yourself, and then love others.
Wonderful. So you heard it here. This is Karen and Andra on Kitchen Chats, and you can like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, everyone.